walked off each other's paths, but we're too scared to let you go. 'Cause you're so drained that you can hardly even entertain yourself. I did nothing wrong, but it took too long to deal with someone else. I don't really have a choice about if I hear your voice in my dreams, in my dreams. I told you to run away, and I wanted you to stay safe in my dreams, only in my dreams. Do you still like me at all, baby doll? I hate to give in to my fears, but I've been having these nightmares, and when I wake up, nothing is clear. So don't tell me what I want to hear. I need to know if you want me near, 'cause I've been having these nightmares, and when I wake up, nothing is clear. I don't really have a choice about if I hear your voice in my dreams, in my dreams. I told you to run away when I wanted you to stay safe in my dreams, and only in my dreams.
just what I want. You know 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 just what I want. 'Cause you know what I want. Wanna know why you're so distant. Wanna know why you're so distant. Wanna know why you're so distant.
time your name comes up, I say there's nothing new. Now your words all play on repeat, saying how you can exhale whenever you're with me. You know we said it all before. Take off your shirt, lay on the floor. Both of us felt something more, but you got scared and I got bored. I don't know when I should go, I don't know when to fold. I could still be waiting when there's nothing left to hold. Talk to me before you leave and forget to say goodbye. I'm not one to cause a scene, but this one caught my eye. I'm no one to follow guidelines. Why would I sit back and wait when you could have been mine? Now I'm wrapped around your finger. I know misplaced feelings fade, but these ones seem to linger. You know we said it all before. Take off your shirt, lay on the floor. Both of us felt something more, but you got scared and I got bored. I don't know when I should go, I don't know when to fold. I can still be waiting when there's nothing left to hold. Talk to me before you leave and forget to say goodbye. I'm not one to cause a scene, but this one caught my eye. Don't you shy away again. Don't repeat it from a friend. Try to think with your own head. Even though you've been misled again and again. I don't know when I should go, I don't know when to fold. I can still be waiting when there's nothing left to hold. Talk to me before you leave and forget to say goodbye. I'm not one to cause a scene, but this one caught my eye.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Christie, Inman, Maxwell, the entire Majors family, thank you so much for gathering to celebrate the remarkable and inspiring life of Tessa Rain Majors. Not only the multitude that is here today, but the many people not able to come who have shared their love and admiration for Tess, but this broad spectrum of people that Tess knew and whose lives she touched, all are testament to the influence that Tess had on so many, an impact that will endure in sweet memories of our time with her. In her own words, the words of a gifted, thoughtful, insightful writer, and in the music and lyrics of a fearless, creative, bold musician, a trusted collaborator and bandmate. And today we choose to remember Tess with celebration, filled with music she created, music that inspired her, and music that tells story about Tess to friends and family. We celebrate Tess with the written word which she revered and used so beautifully to reflect on herself and the world, writings which revealed a depth of introspection, a compassion for others, and an optimism about our common humanity that defied her young age and inspired peers and adults alike. We will see on this stage scores of Tessa's friends, and it is these friends who have given strength to Christie, Inman, Maxwell over these past several days. It is their artistry, the songs that they are going to sing, the poetry that they will read, that we know Tessa's spirit lives on inside them. I know that the Majors family has welcomed so many of them into their home this week to cry and share stories, to listen to music, to jam in the family room, to visit her favorite spot by the lake. Christie and Inman wanted them to be at the center of today's celebration because it is through their passion and creativity that Tessa's memory endures. In the words of a beautifully written tribute, Chris Graham of the Augusta Free Press wrote this: "Tess Majors would conquer the world." And by the looks of this room today, she seemed to be well on her way to doing just that. Each and every one of us can share stories about Tess and how our time with her at school, in camp, in the music studio, on the stage, over a cup of coffee, left us feeling better, left us feeling more optimistic about the future. So again, I thank you for being here today to join Tessa's family and all of our communities in grief, to extend to the Majors and to one another support and love, and most importantly, to celebrate Tess today, and to do so with smiles and laughter and applause. And yes, you are welcome to clap today if you would like, and even sing along if you choose. And with tears of joy that we were all blessed to know Tess and to have our lives illuminated by her light, which will never be extinguished. And we begin today as Tess would insist that we begin, and that is with one of her great passions, music. And so we are going to start with a song from one of her favorite artists, one of her favorite songs, Paul Simon's Graceland.
Mississippi Delta, shine like a national guitar. And I am following the river, down the highway, through the cradle of the Civil War. And I'm going to Graceland, Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm going to Graceland. Poor boys and pilgrims with families, and we are going to Graceland. My traveling companion is 9 years old. He's the child of my first marriage. But I have reason to believe that we all will be received in Graceland. She comes back to tell me she's gone, as if I didn't know that, as if I didn't know my own bed, as if I never noticed the way she brushed her hair from her forehead. She said, losing love is like a window in your mouth. Everybody sees you're blown apart. Everybody can feel the wind blow. And I'm going to Graceland, Graceland, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm going to Graceland. Poor boys and pilgrims with families, and we are going to Graceland. My traveling companions are ghosts and empty sockets. I'm looking at ghosts and empties. And I've a reason to believe that we all will be received in Graceland. There's a girl in New York City, and she calls herself the human trampoline. And sometimes when I'm falling, flying, or tumbling in turmoil, I say, whoa, so this is what she means. She means we're bouncing into Graceland. And I see losing love is like a window in your heart. And everybody sees you're blown apart. Everybody can feel the wind blow. Whoa, Graceland, Graceland, Graceland. For reasons I cannot explain, there's some part of me that wants to see Graceland. I may be obliged to defend every love, every ending, or maybe there's no obligations now. And I've reason to believe that we all will be received in Graceland.
To Paula in Late Spring by W.S. Merwin. Let me imagine that we will come again when we want to, and it will be spring. We will be no older than we ever were. The worn griefs will have eased like the early cloud through which the morning slowly comes to itself, and the ancient defenses against the dead will be done with and left to the dead at last. The light will be as it is now in the garden that we have made here all these years together of our long evenings in astonishment.
Since it's been here, here comes the sun, here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, since it's been here, here comes the sun, here comes the sun, it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. It's alright. It's alright.
I carry your heart with me, I carry it in, E.E. Cummings. Here's the deepest secret nobody knows. Here's the root of the root and the bud of the bud and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart, I carry it in my heart.
People. One moment. Yeah, we're just gonna get a little funky. You can get up and dance if you want. I don't mind. I don't think Tess would mind either. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's the family affair. When child grows up to be somebody that just loves to learn. Another child grows up to be somebody you just love to burn. Mama loves the both of them, you see. It's just in their blood. Oh, that they'll just love Mama, 'cause blood's thicker than love. Checking each other out. Nobody here just wants to glow. Oh, baby, nobody wants to be left out. Can't cry 'cause you can't be there, but sure you can 'cause you've been somewhere. Can't cry 'cause you look broke down, but you're crying anyway, 'cause we're all broke now. It's a family affair. It's the family affair. It's the
have it here if you want. Okay. Feel free to join us in the reading of the Lord's Prayer. Where is it? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Christie, Inman, and Maxwell, I am beyond honored and deeply humbled that you have asked me to speak about Tess this afternoon. We at St. Anne's Belfield are only a small part of Tess's world, evidenced by our gathering today. And though I only knew Tess through my own window, I have tried my best to listen well and channel the many voices that accompanied her in life. The time that I have spent this week listening to family, friends, and teachers talk about Tess, and the opportunity to reflect on her life in words has been a true gift. I think that Tess would like so much that she has connected us all. So I thank you. This is for you, Tessa Rain. For several years of childhood, Tessa Majors was a cat. This tiny feline creature went only by the name Dr. Trixie. And Dr. Trixie had an alter ego girl power totem called Baby Snuggle that often spoke for Dr. Trixie and said the things that Dr. Trixie couldn't always say and formed words with sounds and letters that didn't always make sense to the adult world. A defiant, fearless little white stuffed bunny with a penchant for mischief and wild adventures, Baby Snuggle got a new cerulean jewel nose after spending the night at a roadside gas station in Tennessee and then hitching on planes and trucks before finally arriving back home in Roanoke, Virginia. Baby Snuggle could fly. Baby Snuggle was also a ghost. Once Baby Snuggle got to witness a long, cold, snowy winter in the crook of a tree branch with the birds and the bugs and all the other critters. They got to see the leaves change and fall, the birds fly away, the winds whip up, and the days get shorter, until slowly, one day, the darkness abated, the winds calmed, the trees and flowers blossomed, and the birds returned again to sing. I think the first moment when it all clicked for me, when I finally got Tessa Majors, if that's a thing, was at the show at the Southern last May when Patient Zero opened for Rat Boys. As one of the more occasionally uptight teachers at St. Anne's Belfield, you can imagine my comfort level when my teacup-sized student mounted the stage in that intimate space in downtown Charlottesville, fiercely wielding her mighty bass, wearing cowboy boots, a short denim skirt, and a decidedly not school uniform-approved top. But it was also that night that I first got to meet Inman and Christie. After the show, as I watched Tess and her parents hug and laugh and make snide comments together, it hit me that I had never before met anyone who was a more complete and perfect embodiment of the people who brought them into this world. Put the fullness of Inman and Christie together and you get a Tess. Tess was Tess because Christie and Inman allowed Tess to be Tess, whatever that looked like. How blessed and grateful we are that you did. Tess spent the summers of her youth at nature camp, where she formed lasting friendships over the complex inner workings of ecosystems, pointy leaves, and bugs on sticks. With her friends, she liked to collect salamanders in jars from a stream in her neighborhood and bring them home. Sometimes at night, she would sit alone on a concrete bench by the lake near her house and look up at the stars. The best big sister a boy could ask for. As a child, she took Maxwell on walks to get ice cream. Tess once fake strummed an unplugged, broken bass guitar through an entire chapel service song. She liked to run, even if she wasn't very fast. She loved Paul Simon, Patti Smith, Courtney Barnett, D'Angelo, and some weird metal. Faulkner, Ginsberg and Vonnegut, T.S. Eliot, and Rita Dove. She once read Crime and Punishment for fun, because, well, why not? She was as punk as it gets. You see, Tess contained multitudes. To quote Thoreau, her time was measured by her light. Glistening beams radiated out from this little sun at the center of a quirky and sparkling universe. She held together an ever-expanding archipelago of misfit toys and made everyone feel like they belonged. Her confidence allowed her to knit a world together within this school and outside of it. She tethered communities who didn't speak to one another because she thought we were all worth knowing and that we should all be friends. Tess loved to meet her friends' friends and forced new friends to meet old friends and forced shy, reluctant future friends to talk to one another. She invented secret handshakes with recent strangers on Manhattan rooftops to ensure that new bonds stuck. But her best friend of all was her little brother Maxwell, who, she often gushed, was the coolest guy she knew. She folded Maxwell in with the big kids and made sure that they would always take care of him. From her littlest years in Montessori School in Stanton, she knew who needed to be protected, who needed to be brought home, as she gathered a passel of sweethearts and weirdos and the odd kids and built a family that continues to grow. As one of her dear friends said, Tess made it okay to be weird, to be real. Her favorite thing about you was the weirdest thing about you. She found beauty in the strange. Said another friend, Tess was never uncomfortable with anyone because she was so comfortable with herself. Tess allowed us to be ourselves, to become ourselves. She invited people to become who they wanted to be and imparted the courage to take risks. Although we all knew Tess herself could be a little scary at times, especially before you got to know her, she inspired her friends never to be afraid. For a community that stretched from Winchester, Tennessee to New York City, from Richmond to Waynesboro, from Montessori to St. Anne's Belfield to Tandem, from the MRC to Nelson County, Tess was our heart, our anchor, and our common home. I will always remember when in the middle of one of her shows, amid playful banter with bandmates and the occasional chiding of the sound guys, she offered a pointed reminder to the crowd that we were at a punk show. We should be jumping up and down and slamming into one another more. I think she just hated the distance between us. So what now? Tess's memory will linger in the material traces of her life, in the books she gifted that now bind a vast network, and the silly personal notes she inscribed in each, the clothes she passed down and the bathrobes she shared, the pictures that now flash across our minds like a dizzying Mr. Taylor Prezi show, the poems and essays she wrote, the music that now fills the silence left by the absence of her sweet voice. But more than this material catalog, what remains is also a language etched on our hearts and minds that will forever keep us in this thing together. It is a special Tess language that is alive in those words and songs, but also in colors, expressions, and gestures that we remember, each weighted with specific meaning. As our wounds heal over, our scars will endure as another form of language memorial. When we feel the void in our hearts and the weight on our souls, when we talk about her death and her life, I think mostly what we will talk about is how fiercely Tess loved. We can get a little soft around here sometimes, but Tess's love was rarely gentle and cuddly. Often it came with an edge, a life-saving, life-affirming love, the sort of love that can rouse us out of a slumber and jolt us awake with a shock. Indeed, Tess flitted about our hallways like a dragonfly with the force of a charging bull. She burst into classrooms, and before class had even begun, would demand to unpack a scene in a novel or a line in a poem, because like few others, she grasped the urgency of what was at stake, that we thought as carefully, critically, and rigorously as Tess did was morally significant, because Tess believed that the words and ideas we deploy, tolerate, and admit into our common lexicon as individuals and a culture reflect who we are and who we aspire to be. The right ideas call us to account for the bad ideas we enable and allow to flourish. Tess could be deeply empathetic toward those with whom she disagreed. If she respected the rigor by which someone came by their ideas, she made them feel affirmed and walked alongside them in learning. But she wouldn't stand for lazy analysis or pallid ideas. She could devastate with a well-placed roast when she felt anyone, friend or foe, was insipid or wrong. Happily, even graciously, she would hear them out and let them have their say, and then level with a meticulous smackdown. Her solution to stupidity, foolishness, and boorishness was to teach and instruct, sometimes bluntly, aspiring, in the words of a friend, for people to get less stupid. Each of us has felt that sting of her disappointment. We could disappoint her, I think, because she saw that we always fell just short of what we might have been. We might have been a little weirder, a little edgier, but mostly we might have loved one another a little more. We might have embraced one another's differences and eccentricities and insecurities a little more. We might simply have been more ourselves. Today, Tess is alive, and those people and places that she dragged up so many hills to become more approximate versions of who and what she thought they ought to be. Tess taught us that irreverence was not the opposite of respect, nor criticism the opposite of affection. That if we listened carefully, her prophetic voice was an invitation to reimagine. Tess could be frustrated by the careless and unthinking ways we simply go about doing the things we've always done. Sometimes like a fire bell, sometimes like a warm sunrise. Tess's presence in the spaces we inhabit called us to awaken from our complacent slumbers and ask if this is really how we should be thinking and working and living in community. Like the souls muddling along in the limbo of Dante's Inferno, we are trapped by our tired, anemic virtue, condemned to a world of mediocre longings. We are lost, says Dante's Virgil, and suffer only this. Hopeless, we live forever in desire. Of those poor abandoned souls, Dorothy Sayers said, their failure lay in not imagining better. So what is asked of us now is that we imagine better. Let us follow our fierce warrior queen into the fray and confront this dark winter with our choirs of rebellion and sing our psalms of mercy. To celebrate the life of Tess Majors is to extend outward the arms of our congregation and embrace a suffering and lost world with the only force that can bend our many languages into expressions of compassion and affirmation. It is up to us now to love with that hard edge that discerns between feeble self-protection and that truly powerful, courageous sense that sheds self-regard and deference to the heartache and pain and loneliness of others. A moment like this one that shatters us, also impels us amid our brokenness to reimagine a daring love that rejects habit, that does not fear disorder, that does not hesitate to turn the world upside down and feast on our sacred cows. Memory is not a passive force. It is not inert. If we harness them, our memories of Tess can be catalytic. They can propel us forward and awaken our courage and call us to something beyond. For this is the use of memory, Eliot, one of Tess's favorite poets, tells us. Memory is for liberation, for love beyond desire. We must, then, keep our promises to her to be ourselves and to stay bound in the weird and funky tapestry she imagined and envisioned as she wove us all together. Let us not fail to imagine better. As she now passes us off, her guiding work now done, our Virgil is also our sweet Beatrice, who sings of that celestial rose in the Paradiso, where are gathered together all the company of heaven. From matter's largest sphere, we have now reached the heaven of pure light, light of the intellect, light filled with love, love of true good, love filled with happiness, a happiness surpassing every sweetness. We will live differently now. Together we will learn daily to live in the presence of Tessa's absence. And yet, as Tessa's corporeal self dissolves among the particles of the universe, and the rocks and the trees and the dirt and the wind absorb the fibers of her body, a new energy is released that quakes and rumbles, a constant bass line that thunders in our chest. We have come here today feeling all the feels. Our world was shattered and disordered. But I think Tess would look down to us, extend a hand, maybe with a roll of the eyes. Say, it's okay to cry, but get up, you weirdo. Dust yourself off, quit your whining, jump up and down, and dance. We love you, Tessa Rain, you badass, funky little angel. You're gonna rock the hell out of heaven, and we'll keep our ears tuned up to the skies.
I will now read A Blessing by James Wright. Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bound softly forth on the grass, and the eyes of those two Indian ponies darken with kindness. They have come gladly out of the willows to welcome my friend and me. We step over the barbed wire into the pasture where they have been grazing all day alone. They ripple tensely. They can hardly contain their happiness that we have come. They bow shyly as wet swans. They love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. At home once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I would like to hold the slenderer one in my arms, for she has walked over to me and nuzzled my left hand. She is black and white, her mane falls wild on her forehead, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom.
looking up for cosmos. I'm hoping that we get along.
It's time for an ovation. It's time for us to make a change. It's time for a Chinese New Year. It's time for me to make a way. And I can't wait to get far from here.
No, I can't wait to get out of here. No, I can't wait to get out of here. I see you at the movies. I see you with your lipstick on. I'm looking out for cosmos. I'm hoping that we get along. It's time for an ovation. It's time for us to make a change. It's time for a Chinese New Year. It's time for me to make a way.
I found this poem a while ago on the ground, and under the title it said, "For Tess," so I sent it to her. Hummingbird, for Tess. Suppose I say summer, write the word hummingbird, put it in an envelope, take it down the hill to the box. When you open my letter, you will recall those days and just how much I love you.
Lose Yourself in the Absences by Tessa Majors. I slip between the cracks of memories into the gap of nothing, nestled between a kiss and a rainy hike through the woods, between watching Christmas tree lights from the couch and swollen wasp stings, and slide into the forever, warm content and colored happiness, wanting forever to never change.
All right, Inman, you ready to rock out to some REM? You ready, Gabby? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
When I was young and full of grace and spirited, a rattlesnake. When I was young and fever fell my spirit, I will not tell. You're on your honor not to tell. I'll be leaving coyotes and time as an abstract. Explain the change, the difference between what you want and what you need. There's the key, your adventure for today. What do you do between the horns of the day? I believe my shirt is wearing thin and change. Is what I believe in. When I was young and give and take, the foolish set my fool awake. When I was young and fever fell my spirit, I will not tell. You're on your honor, on your honor. Trust in your calling, make sure your calling's true. Think of others, the others. Think of you. Silly rule, golden words made practice. Practice makes perfect. Perfect is a foe, and foe lines change. I believe my humor's wearing thin and change. Is what I
take off for dramatic effect. So, I didn't really bring anything to read, because I don't read. But you know, that's okay. But I was at the Majors' house a few days ago, and we helped set up a Christmas tree. That was really nice. We were around friends. And by the end of the night, I said a few words, and Inman wanted me to say these words again, but I also have a terrible memory, probably because I don't read. But here's the best way I try to summarize it in words, and it's called Tessa's Band. I am just thankful for you all here today, and for Tess. My life wasn't always easy, and I had a really solid friend group, but when Tess came into it, and spending time with them, it just kind of made everything more bearable. It made life more fun and exciting, and just more livable. And with my good friend group, it was already nice enough, but Tess knew just how to make it fuller, and she just introduced me to all these beautiful, young, talented people here today, and I couldn't be more grateful. You all have a special place in my heart. And you all too, of course. What I'm trying to get at is, essentially, Tess just had a really big band, and I was a part of it, and you all are too. So just thank you for being a part of Tessa's band.
Today's chapel speaker and I first got to know each other freshman year when she bounded into my life with a half-shaved head of hair and loud jokes. I immediately found her very annoying. I recently discovered that she thought that I was incredibly annoying also. I guess it's a good thing that times have changed since we were freshmen, because it has been one of my most fortunate experiences in high school to count her as my friend and confidant.
In the classroom, today's chapel speaker is a rigorous thinker whose boundless curiosity and trenchant questions amplify our conversations while fostering respectful dialogue. She's one of the few students capable of speaking intelligently about 19th century Marxism while not so discreetly crushing a game of 2048 or Tetris.
Whether we're raiding her fridge at 2 a.m. and crying laughing about snapping turtles, taking nature walks, or listening to music, every moment I get to spend with her is an adventure. She can talk to almost anyone about almost anything. She's a cat lover, a riot girl, a poet, a musician, and someone who loves to pick bugs up on sticks and look at them really closely.
Fiercely independent, yet committed to our common humanity, today's chapel speaker is a dedicated vegetarian who has no problem chopping up our sacred cows and serving them up with a side of snark, all with an eye toward extending the sphere of love and justice. As a teacher, I am grateful for how she gently yet urgently she presses each of us to become more thoughtful about the future we are creating for ourselves and our community.
I myself am lucky to count today's speaker as a friend because of her loyalty and her ability to empathize. She has taught me the importance of truly looking out for the people you care about and letting them know you value them. She may never fail to tell me when I'm wrong, but she will also literally pick me up off the ground if I'm having a rough day. She is shrewd yet creative. She always has the gumption to stand up for what she believes in. She is a wonderful support system for her friends and loved ones. And while college may take us down separate paths, I know that I'm a better person for being her friend.
It is our pleasure to introduce today's chapel speaker, Tessa Rain Majors.
Embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy. Brene Brown.
There's always someone around you who will call you, who will call It's Nothing at All, the Velvet Underground.
I need to lower this a little bit? Okay. I'd like to begin this chapel in the usual manner by thanking everyone who made it possible, which includes musicians, candle lighters and extinguishers, people who read quotes, and of course, Mr. Clark. He really does put in so much work behind the scenes that you don't get to see. So, in 7th grade, I was taking the ERBs, a type of standardized test that I'm sure many of you who are here in middle school are familiar with. One of the writing prompts was, if you had 3 items to survive in the wild with, what would they be? I very distinctly recall saying that I would have a pencil and paper so I could write a more creative prompt. I've been a sarcastic person for quite a while, but I wasn't always this way. When I was younger, I was incredibly earnest. For example, while watching the kids' show, Dora the Explorer, I would often say, "Swiper's nice," in an attempt to understand his absolutely atrocious behavior. For those of you who don't know, Swiper was the kleptomaniac fox who annoyed Dora by stealing her belongings. I personally did not understand why someone would be mean just for the sake of it. As I got older, my confusion over people's seemingly random unkindness transformed into a strong distrust for authority. I viewed it as impossible for anyone to wield power responsibly, and I worried about my entrenchments in institutions stifling my personality. It was only recently that I realized my cynicism was simply to cover my disappointment in the fact that the world wasn't always a nice place. In humanities, when the seniors completed our unit on morality, I often took a negative stance on whether humans exhibit goodness of their own accord. I could find a critique or moral flaw in almost every novel we read, and I did not hesitate to voice these. However, I realize now that I held these opinions only because I wanted people to be kind so badly. My negative outlook was an attempt to prematurely shut myself off from anything that could hurt me. Unfortunately, shielding myself emotionally from others ended up stunting my growth. I did not connect to many of my classmates because I feared that getting too close to them would result in my disappointment in their unavoidable flaws. 10th grade was particularly hard for me. I could go to practically any space in the school without social repercussions, but I never opened up to those I met, which led to feeling intensely isolated. On the inside, though, I questioned and stressed over every aspect of my life constantly. Luckily, all this questioning actually led me to reconsider my own worldview. Was getting hurt worse than feeling nothing at all? What was I so scared of? I first heard Sunday Morning by the Velvet Underground during this period of disconnect in my sophomore year. The song was totally disarming in its openness. Something about its wistful optimism in the face of everyday mundanity of life just broke my heart. One line in particular stuck out, though, because it felt like it was directly aimed at me. It said, "There's always someone around you who will call it's nothing at all." This quote dismisses cynical people and their ubiquity, and it showed the cracks in my uncaring attitude. Sarcastic and shut-off people aren't a rarity. In fact, you can find those who act this way almost anywhere you look. And I feel bad because I know that people who display these traits are usually the most sensitive. Apathy is often a shield for caring way too much. After I heard this song, it made me want to express my emotions more. I chose to do this through songwriting. It gave me an outlet to understand my own feelings more deeply and also share them with others in the hopes of helping someone else do the same. I could be vulnerable while creating something I loved, and it made me a more fulfilled person. As Brené Brown said in her well-known TED Talk on vulnerability, embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy. I can confirm that this is true. My life has been made infinitely better since I've opened up to people. I didn't originally plan on giving a chapel. Many of the ones I've heard throughout high school discuss some epiphany or life-altering experience, and I never felt like I had a moment of this kind. I didn't want to deceive everyone by saying there was a time when things just suddenly started making sense. However, I began thinking about what I would tell my 8th grade self if I met her now, and I realized I do have some wisdom to impart. Firstly, without falling into the trap of naivete, expect the best from others. It's okay to be disappointed when people aren't kind, but it's better to give someone the benefit of the doubt than never getting to know them at all. You may be surprised by how many people you like. Secondly, if you feel a certain way, share it. The world will benefit from hearing your unique perspective much more than it will from your silence. And finally, it is so easy to act like you don't care. True strength comes from the ability to be vulnerable. I spent way too much time in my life hiding from others for fear of getting hurt. I have found that even this pain beats missing all the wonderful connections you could make with your peers, and equally important, the chance to express yourself freely. So for everyone listening today, from the 8th graders to the faculty, learn to embrace your vulnerability, and your world will open up to so many new opportunities and unexpected friendships. Thank you.
Well, thank you for making me follow that up. You guys are the best, aren't you? I'll keep it short, but I just want to thank Tess. That's really all I can say. Love you. We'll miss you. This is for you.
Sunshine on a cloudy day when it's cold outside. I got the month of May. I guess you say what can make me feel this way, my girl. Talking about my girl. Talking about my girl. I've got so much honey, the bees and the bees. I've got a sweeter song than the birds in the trees. Well, I guess you say what can make me feel this way, my girl. Talking about my girl, my girl. Hey, 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 I don't need no money, no fortune, no fame. I got all the riches, baby, one man can claim. Well, I guess you'd say what talking about my girl. I got the Mother Maid. Talking about my girl. Tell me, baby.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to read a part of a piece by Bennett Foddy called Getting Over It. Have you thought about who you are in all this? Are you the man in the pot, Diogenes? Are you his hand? Are you the top of his hammer? I think not. Where your hand moves, the hammer may not follow, nor the man, nor the man's hand. In this you are his will, his intent, the embodied resolve in his uphill ascent. The first time you got here, you thought you were safe, a base camp for reaching the summit. That's how it seemed on its face the first time, but your face can fall fast when you plummet. Now you've conquered the ice cliff, the platforms, the church and the rectory, the living room and the factory, the playground and the construction site, the granite rocks and the lakeside. You've learned to hike. There's no way left to go but up, and in a moment, I'll shut up, but let me say, I'm glad you came. I dedicate this game to you, the one who came this far. I give it to you with all my love.
We're going to do Prom Queen, which was Tessa's song. And before we do it, I just wanted to share the story of the first time I met her. We were 5, and I'm sure most of you, or a few of you have heard this story, but we were in the bathroom in a church, and we were both peeing, and my mom told me to hurry up, and she said, "Hurry up, Tess," and then Tess looked under the stall, right next to mine, and said, "You're a Tess? I'm a Tess too." And from then on, we were pretty much inseparable. So I want to thank everybody for letting me sing this song, and I would like to invite everybody to join in. There are lyrics in your programs, and the lyrics are really beautiful. So. Try not to mind as she went by. The freckles on her face, the stars in the sky. I'm stuck in my head 'cause I'm falling so hard, and I know that she's still up with the stars. I don't believe in a love at first sight, 'cause nobody's ever gonna be right, but she is me right where I don't wanna be, and somehow that's okay with me. The way that she dances hits me like a bomb. I only wish we were at the same prom. Oh, read my horoscopes not too long ago. They told me there's something that you should know. You're walking right into a hurricane, but luckily I don't mind the rain. I'm stuck in my head 'cause I'm falling so hard, and I know that she is still up with the stars. I don't believe in a love at first sight, 'cause nobody's ever gonna be right, but she is me right where I don't wanna be, and somehow that's okay with me. The way that she dances hits me like a bomb. I only wish we were at the same prom. Oh,
On behalf of Christie and Inman and Maxwell and the entire Majors family, thank you for being here today to celebrate the incomparable Tessa Majors. And thank you, as you all saw, to her friends who played so beautifully and passionately, read such amazing words up here. You could feel Tess in the room through them. And on behalf of everyone here today, thank you, Christie, Inman, Maxwell, your entire family, for inviting us to be here with you, for modeling such strength in this time of unimaginable grief, and for giving us license to celebrate Tess and to sing and dance and laugh and cry together. Thank you for that gift. It's been a gift for us to have known her and a gift for us to be part of your family today. We are going to enjoy together a little bit more music as the family exits, and they head off to have a reception together off campus. So if everyone could please remain seating, and thank you again for being here. We love you, Tess.